Well, welcome back to the Friday edition of our GBO Bodcast. This is episode 22, and we are incredibly excited to have the Barnwells. We have Victor and Antoinette Barnwell joining us. So first of all, welcome to you two.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Yes, and we also do have our special co-host, which is Todd Rogers, Mr. ODF Fitness, Senior Director of Judges, Senior Director of GBO Naturals, and of course, sporting his outerwear as he will be taking out his lovely date tonight, which I know that had nothing to do with anything. But Todd, welcome.
What's up, Pete? The doc is in the house.
Yeah. And that's what we like to hear, and that's what we like to see. So for those of you who are just playing catch up with us, you know, one of the things that we've been doing this now for 5.5 months. And we like to feature people, especially who have made somewhat of an impression on GBO and really, you know, have led in servant leadership. So for those of you who really don't know a whole lot about Victor and Antoinette, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a bio because I think that a lot of people, when they hear, you know, certain guests, they don't have a whole lot of background or understanding of what they've done to get to this point. So Victor is 52 years old. He is a 22-year retired Air Force vet. So first of all, Victor, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Yes, we appreciate that. And what's interesting about you, Victor, is you only started in the bodybuilding industry 3 years ago and have made a super splash. When you started at 49, you weighed 270 pounds at 35% body fat of all things. So it's not like you started at a solid 270. That's pretty interesting, you know, and I'm going to get into that with you here, but really, you know, what's unfortunate, not everything is roses as we understand. So I know you went through some years of depression. You suffered from PTSD, low self-esteem, and really you decided to make a change at really the suggestion of a great friend and coach. And I think that someone sitting next to you might have an impression. So, you know, what I understand, you started in May of 2017 at 270 and you competed in November in your very first show at the Lackland Classic and you got down to 185. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It was difficult, but I did it once I got started, you know, Antoinette being there, you know, she just kept pushing me when I didn't want to go. And when my legs and arms and feet hurt, you know, she's like, hey, aren't you supposed to be working out today? While she's eating ice cream.
Nice. So who is your coach?
So Helen Horton is our coach. She actually, both of our coaches. And, you know, I don't really, she's my coach, but she's really a really good friend. She's more like family. You know, I've learned a lot from Helen, you know, the science-based nutrition that she has going on there. You know, we've got to a point now where, you know, I'm trying to think ahead of what she's going to do next. And I go, Helen, hey, can we do this? Can we add this in? Can we do this? And, you know, sometimes she'll agree and sometimes she won't, you know, but we love her. You know, she's been really helpful. I actually met her at the first show. She was sitting in the audience. I met her shortly afterwards, and then we started communicating, and then she became my coach.
So she's been your one and only coach. You haven't bounced around, from what I understand.
No, you know, I mean, I'm a committed person. You know, once I'm in, I'm in. You know, and you know, once I find, you know, it works, you know, I'm locked in, just like, you know, GBO. You know, I mean, I was at the Lackland Classic. I met her. You know, she introduced me to the GBO family, you know, you and Todd and, you know, Laura and, you know, Bob and all you guys, man, it's been real. Like I think about no other organization but GBO. It's a huge family. And, you know, we were just kind of chatting earlier, you know, when I first met you at the show and I didn't really know what I was doing. I think it was my second show in Beaumont and, you know, I'm there and everything feels like it's shaking. You know, when you walked up to me afterwards, like, man, you know, hey, you know, I'm glad you're working on your lower body. It's good to see somebody working on their legs. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. But I'll never forget that. And Todd, you know, from day one, You know, we met Todd. It was like we knew each other. Like, I don't know him, but we just started talking. And the entire organizations like that, Chris, and, at the time, we talked about, Porter and, and how, he just kind of, held up time, to help me be able to make the first show, my first GBO show, so it's awesome. But yeah, commitment. We've been with Helen, we're with GBO, and we plan on going nowhere.
I like that.
Well, I was saying that earlier, that when we first met, and as soon as you walked in the room, man, it's just some people that when they walk into a room, to a space, they just light up that space. And Victor was that guy. He was that guy. As soon as he walked in, he didn't have to say nothing, man. He just had that aura about himself that when he walked in, like, boom, it's Victor. So I was like, yeah, man, it was just a pleasure to meet Victor. It's been a pleasure to know Victor, and know Victor is not just a competitor, but as a friend, someone that I always look up to Victor, you know what I'm saying, from my standpoint, because I see the man that he is and the things that he's doing. And hey, I can't give him number 100 on that, man, because that's big.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you.
Well, Antoinette, I promise we're going to get to you, but
I'm here.
Oh yeah, we gonna get to you, Antoinette.
So your name will be featured here very shortly. So, one of the things that Troy Webb said about you, Victor, is, it's nice to see people in their 50 plus bringing it. Troy Webb is in Pasadena. Troy Moore is in Las Vegas. He's our head judge in Las Vegas. And he's a former IFBB pro, has been featured on the podcast, and has a lot of respect for you as well. And, as I look at this, list of accomplishments, and also things that, you dropped 95 pounds. That's like a whole person in some cases, I think my wife is right around 90 pounds. So, that's like, a lot. And what I found interesting about your story was not only are you both in the fit industry, you both are pastors.
Yeah.
So can you give us the story as far as how you met, how that came to be? And I don't want to push the but Antoinette or Victor, whoever is most comfortable sharing your story without offending each other, go ahead.
No, I don't. There's going to be no offense at all, and I think that it's something that people need to know. They need to hear. I had what led to my weight gain was, I'd gone to Iraq, and I know we have some other vets, who've been on the show. Reggie, that's my guy. We kind of go back and forth with each other on Facebook. When I returned from Iraq, I came back with more than what I left with. I had a duffel bag full of other stuff too. And, but, we're trained to, just kind of make it happen, just keep doing it. But then shortly after that, I actually went through a divorce, and those things kind of compounded. And I went into a deep state of depression, and I was pastoring at the time, so, you can have a faith, but a reality is you can also have some other issues going on, because, that's who we are as people, right? I mean, we're real. You're not superhuman because you're a pastor. So I was actually pastoring and depressed, and it got really bad, Matt. I mean, it got really bad, man, until I became more than just depressed. I became suicidal, and I used to ride sport bikes. Antoinette don't let me ride no more, but I used to. That was like my thing. And I worked about 30 miles from where I lived. I was actually living with my parents when I went through a divorce, and man, I would ride that thing, man, 190 miles an hour, 30 miles, thinking, okay, it's going to be quick, and I'm done. And nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened. I mean, I think about it now, even as I'm talking to you, and how reckless that was. But when you're in a dark place, you become very self-centered. It just becomes about you and what's going on in your head. And, and I was going along like that. And I just kind of, got to the place where I decided, hey, this is going to be my pain. This is going to be my issue. This is going to be my life. And my aunt, who lives in South Carolina, this is where we're from. We're both from South Carolina. At the time Antoinette was there, and she's like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, hey, I'm just going to work gonna go to church. That's all I'm gonna do, you know. And she's like, you know, there's somebody I want you to meet. And I was like, well, who is it? Because, you know, women are just crazy. Like, that's where my head was, right? Todd, don't take this. Hey, maybe you can edit this out. I know it's live. Okay, so
Hey, man, I got a date, man. I'm not getting in there.
Okay, don't say nothing. Just let me do the talking then. But that's where I was, man. You know, that's where my head was. You know, I was there. And she said, hey, her name is Antoinette. And the funny thing is, we had gone to high school together. She was a couple of years ahead of me. And I was like, she didn't talk to me in high school. I know she's not going to talk to me now, you know. And you know, we exchanged numbers, and we started talking. And that hole that I was bleeding out of, my soul, you know, she was actually able to just block that. You know, her words, you know, it quieted the storm in my head, Matt. It quieted the storm, man. And I just it allowed me to take a breath. And I thought, you know, Todd, I was like, you know, I need somebody like that to help me because it balances me out. And so we started talking, and, you know, I would fly down to see her, you know, and then we got to the place where, you know, I was like, you know, hey, you know, actually, I didn't even like mention to her about marriage. I just proposed like old school, you know, showed up on one knee
At my church. At my church.
Oh, wow.
And so we, you know, we got married about a year or so later, moved out here, and man, you know, it just became something different. You know, I think that, you know, everybody has someone who's able to speak to that part in their life, and Antoinette was that person for me. And, you know, I don't know if that sounds selfish or not, but that's what it was. That's what happened. And I started to come up out of that. You know, we started working out at the time. I think then I was 49 years old, right? I'm 49 years old. I'm 270 pounds. And I'm pastoring. And the thing that really kind of brought the fitness thing to mind was because I was up one day pastoring. It felt like I ran 5 miles. I actually took a break and bent over at the front, you know, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And I got on the scale with like 270 pounds. Like, that can't be right. That scale's not right. And so we started going to the gym, and I met a good friend of mine, Jason Van Zant. And he was like, man, if you want to turn your life around physically, you know, the way that you have spiritually, you need to, you know, set a goal. And so I suggest you do a competition. And I'm like, man, I'm 49 years old. I'm 35. Look at me, you know. And he's like, it's in there, you know. You just got to get to it. And I got a coach, you know. And that was when I started training in May. I was 270 pounds. And the one thing that I did not lose, where I lost everything else, was a drive to accomplish, you know. And so once I started, I just kept going. And it's in that, you know, Matt, that self-esteem, something kicked over, man. It was like a flame ignited, like all of a sudden I connected, you know, like I could hear my grandma, man. I could hear my grandma talking to me, you know, like, hey, you know, who are you? Do you know who you are? Do you know where you came from? Get up. You've got to do this. You got it. I could hear, man, I'd get on that Stairmaster and just grind, man. And, you know, and it was real. So, you know, I just, we came out of it, you know, and I dropped that weight, man. I got up on the stage. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the poses. I didn't know anything. I just got up there and did it, you know, because it was like all about, you know, just, I'm here, you know, and I made it. You know, I survived. And the people in the audience, is like what Matt alluded to earlier, like they don't know you, they don't know where you came from, what you've been through, you know, but the fact of the matter was, man, like when I stepped on stage, I was like, man, I'm number one, you know, because I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm Vic, you know, I'm not that other guy, you know, so that's how it started.
Man, there must be some bad allergies in San Antonio, Todd. I saw some of the allergies sniffling, and I'm getting the same water out sniffles too.
You know, Vic, that's one thing that I learned about this sport that we're in. And one thing about the Global Bodybuilding Organization that they brought is that they bring the stories of the competitors to life. that we have an opportunity for you guys, platforms for you guys to tell your story, because everybody has a different story. Everybody has that survival story that helped them achieve what they need to achieve. And, I love hearing these stories. And I'm quite sure that by you just saying this story, telling this story right now, somebody's out there listening. And in some form, in some way, this is going to help somebody to reach their spot too. See, I'm getting emotional about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's going to help somebody get over a hump, come out that darkness and move on. Because I hear the stories all the time how bodybuilding has changed people's life, saved people's life. And so, man, just to hear this story and to hear where you came from to where you are now, it's just, hey, man, much respect. Much respect.
Yeah, man. Yes. Yeah.
Antoinette, now it's your turn.
So
I'm just going to go back because a woman never reveals her age, so I will not mention how young you are. You look like you're in your 20s, but for some reason they let you compete as a masters, and you look like you're in your 30s. And you keep yourself well, of course. But I found something very interesting about you. You did not start at 95 or 100 pounds. From what I understand, you started at 197.
Yes,
and you started on your first show at the Diva. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now the Diva is Todd's show. I know he co-promotes that, and you stepped on at 135. You lost 62 pounds, and you stole the show there. You stole the show. So let's talk about why you got started and how you got started, if you don't mind sharing.
Okay, well, after visiting with Victor at several shows, I just said, hey, I want to do this. So I knew it would be challenging, but never in a million years did I think it would be as challenging as it was, Matt. There were days I didn't want to go, but once I committed, I had to do it. There was just no way around it. And thank God we had Helen. Helen was there, she guided us with nutrition. When I needed a cheat meal, she gave in at times, gave me my cheat meal. I could keep going, okay? And just GBO period. After meeting Todd, coming and seeing everyone, I could tell it was a family type organization. And I mean, when I got started with the Diva, getting prepared, there were people there to help me go through the path, what I needed. Tanning I needed, the day of the show, everything was just laid out and it was so organized. So that's one of the things I love, the experience I had with GBO. It was just awesome.
Well, let me tell you this.
The
Diva was a nice show. Nobody thought the Diva was going to be as successful as it was. But let me tell you what brought the whole house down that day was Miss Antoinette Barnwell. She got up there. People were up out their seats, jumping and hoorahing and stuff. And she was up there doing her thing. I mean, hey, man, she tore that stage up. I was like, come on now, Miss Barnwell. Let's go, baby. Let's go. So, yeah, buddy, that was the show. She turned the Diva out. That's the only thing people probably remember about that show is watching you on stage.
Todd, I don't know what happened, but I just got caught up. I really did. I got caught up.
Hey, you went, I'm over there like, yeah. I'm pumped up too.
I really was a little embarrassed after the fact. I said, Lord, I don't know what happened to me. But anyway, it was awesome.
I saw Vic, I'm standing over there. Vic was doing the same thing. Go, baby, go. He's standing over in the front row. I said, boy, this is what I'm talking about right here. That's all right.
See, that's what happens. That's what happens. You guys, when you get there, it's electric. I mean, it was the first time for me, but man, backstage, even though people were competing, but hey, the sisters were looking like, you okay? Everything's okay. Everybody was checking everyone, and it was like, look, you got this. So I felt like, hey, I never did this. I'm going to get out here and be me. Just be the best I can be. Amen.
Hey, it was totally awesome. I'm telling you, that was the highlight of the show. I'm telling you, that was awesome.
So Antoinette, how did you get into pastoring? Was this before you met Victor, or after, or during, or?
Well, before I came here, the ministry that I was attending, I was working in the ministry. So little did I know I would be marrying a pastor. So God was grooming me pretty much. Our backgrounds are pretty similar, Matt. I had gone through a divorce, just had children. And when I met Victor, I was at a broken place, coming from homelessness at one point. Just depression as well, but I never wanted to give up. When I realized, I really thought about it, I never wanted to give up. And after he and we got together, he just worked it. He worked it. The ministry, I got here, the people were receptive. And we love doing this. This is not a job for us. Ministry is us, because God has done so much for us. It's like, we got to do this. We owe him everything. Bodybuilding is a part of it, but that's who we are. That's literally us. And we just want to share Christ, even with bodybuilding. We even brought bodybuilding to the church. There were people who were not ready for that, and they still aren't ready for that. So go ahead, Vic, tell them about that part.
Yeah, what's funny is, you go to the gym and you're working out, and then people, I never walk around saying, hey, I'm a pastor. I just don't do that. But somehow they find out. And they'll come to me like, you a pastor? Are you kidding me? Pastors don't look like this. I'm like, look like what? What is a pastor supposed to look like, And guess what? They'll follow us to the church. Next thing I'll look out there and they're sitting there, and maybe it's just because, we want to be real with everybody, and like what we're sharing with you today. This is not the first time that I've done that. Our life is pretty much an open book, because I think that that's what it does. And like Antoinette says, bodybuilding is actually a platform outside of the competitions that allows us to, to demonstrate, what I believe, example of a person who said they're a child of God should be, It's kind of like what God said, that, for us, I believe my faith speaks for itself. We just show up and then it happens. And so I want to take care, we want to take care of our bodies as a temple the way it should be, so that it demonstrates that, like, it's like me going and saying, hey, I'm a Christian, and I serve a God that, I believe is in control of everything, but my body's broken down. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, those things don't match. And so, some people at the church accepted it, some people didn't, but those people who didn't, they left. That's cool. Because now you who are on top of with us.
Well, I guess you've had fun up to this point where you've gone through some of the challenges with the church as far as accepting or not accepting. And then this year, everybody had 20/20 vision. And I'm sure you guys had plans in your head that was a crystal clear vision. And then all of a sudden in March, those plans change. Yes. So I know your original plan was to compete in the SBI and in the Louisiana State Championships. You guys had things. So what were some of your plans? I'd like to hear from both of you on the shows that you had planned on this year, if you did have a show planned.
Yeah, I planned to do, after the Diva with Antoinette, I had started prep, and our prep kind of overlapped. And one thing that she did not mention about both of us competing is being in prep together. And I don't care who you are, how long you've been married, I'm telling you, like, at some point you're like, look, one of us.
Man, there was some days at that gym. Oh, Lord help me. We almost didn't make
like
it, y'all.
Somebody's gonna walk. Somebody's walking home. I'm telling you right now.
Did anybody prep food get ate?
Oh, it brings out the worst of you. Hard days. Oh man.
But as Antoinette was prepping for the Diva, near the January timeframe, I started prepping for the first show, which would have been SPI. That would have been SPI. And then with COVID, of course, that was canceled and that was a little bit disappointing, but I thought, I'm not going to stop training. Like, it's not going to, like, I'm going to stop working out. And for me to jump out of prep would be like saying, well, I'm jumping out of prep, not because I'm going to stop working out, but because I want to eat a cheeseburger. Like, so what's most important? So I just stayed in because really prep is just clean eating, right? It's clean, measured eating. And so I just continued doing it. And after that was going to be Beaumont, of course, because, that's my show. Matt, no offense, man, that's where we met. That's where I started. That's where GBO started for me. So it kind of will be the place, that like, okay, it's kind of like that circular thing. I plan to go there, and after everything that happened with Chris, man, I just like, man, I gotta go there to support that. And so we plan to do that, and then that was canceled. And then I kept thinking, okay, I just need to get one show in. I just need to get one, and so we were going to go to Louisiana, and that was canceled. But the entire time, Matt is like, hey, man, you want to do the storm? Hey, you going to do the storm? And I'm like, oh, I want to do it. And Antoinette was like, oh, you're going to, it's like so close. And, then I was like, okay, no. And then when Louisiana got canceled, she's like, well, God must mean for you to go there. It has to happen this way. It's got to be a reason, and then what's funny is like Louisiana is canceled for a storm, and then the show is called The Storm, and I'm like, okay, well, we're just gonna go do the storm. That's where we're going.
And I appreciate being last resort, but I'm glad you're with us. So that's all I gotta say. I'll take it.
No, we did not. I didn't mean it to be that way, but it just. I actually, honestly, last year I wanted to do the storm, but that was really my second year in, and I was trying to balance, family and being in prep, and really that was the thing this year as well. I'd had those 3 shows, and the number would have been eaten up by prep time, and so that was the reason for that. But with everything that happened, it really all still worked out. And I'll get a chance to do it this year with you. I'm honored to be there, man. Wherever you guys are, it's good with me. Like, we go out in the parking lot right now and get it. And I feel the same way,
Yep.
Well, Matt, can I add something in regard to couples? In regard to couples, working out, I mean, to me, it's kind of good on the good days. And wide out there, you make together. And the good thing about Vic is he's a perfectionist. You're going to do it or you're not going to do it with him. I come in, I want him to be sweet in the gym and baby this, but no, when we get in the gym, it's about the gym with him. And I need that because, I don't know what I'm doing, but it helps. So it can help your relationship is what I'm saying.
Well, let's add another thing to you. And I'm sorry, Todd, I wanted to hear about Antoinette.
Go ahead, Matt.
And after what your plans were, pre-COVID.
Okay. Well, my plan was to work on my body because I wanted to get into a different division the next time. Helen thinks that maybe a different division would probably be best for me. So the plan was be in off season and just work on my body. So I'm looking at South Padre possibly next year.
Very good.
So I've got a lot of work to do, and that's the plan.
Yeah, I was working out with her, Matt, and man, I started getting jealous, man, because one day we're working out and I'm looking at her back and I'm like, what is going on with her back? Like, how is that happening? Like, I can't understand like how that, and she's not been working out, and all of a sudden it's there. And I was talking to Helen, I was like, Helen, I don't know what's happening. She has, she's squared up, to me, that's kind of, I'm looking at, how she's shaping up. And we actually, there's 3 of us that typically work out together. Jason, who's actually going to compete GBO next year as well. He was actually at the Diva. Actually, she was up on stage with us there for a second when she called us up there. And I kept saying to him, man, look at that. I'm so jealous that her back came in like that, because that's like an area that I have so much difficulty in, and hers just popped in like overnight, what it seemed like. So I think, yeah, we're, we work out together, and, we critique each other, and sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't, but it works.
I know y'all was speaking on balance. So now that do you think it's better for you guys that both of you guys are now competitors, opposed to when just you were a competitor, as far as how things are, as far as that balance?
As long as we're not in prep together, I think it can work. I really do, because you got the cost of bodybuilding, the different things, that's one thing. Okay. And then if it's just him doing it, I can help with preparing the meals. We both work, so we're not sitting home all day. So that's another thing to take in, so it's a lot of planning that goes into this. I hear people, I want to compete, but you really need to just count up the costs in every way.
Well, I think the good thing about it is when you're both competitors, that you have an understanding of what's going on. Yeah. Because like when Antoinette, like she's going to Diva, we get that, those last few weeks when everything is, it seems like it's just falling apart, and I'm looking at her like, oh yeah, I know what that is. You're okay. Just keep going. This is what's going on with you. And then, to kind of help point her in a direction. Okay, this is why you're feeling this way, but you got to keep going. It's gonna change. It's gonna transition. When you start your food digest, it's what you're gonna feel like. Yeah, that's gonna ache. That's okay. You're not dying. Nobody's died. We're okay. And so when you're both competitors, you can encourage each other from the position of knowing what the other person's going through. But like she said, to be in prep at the same time, that's a huge challenge when you're in prep at the same time. That could cause you need some marital counseling possibly.
Yes.
That's why I say this, having support in this sport is the utmost. You gotta have it, because I've seen so many relationships where you don't have that person that actually supports you like you guys. And that's why I love the fact that we have couples, or we have you guys on the show, because that just tells you that you gotta have that support, because a lot of times we'll fall off, leave our dreams, if we don't have the support that we need to actually move forward and achieve our dreams. And so to have you two and you supporting each other, I know Antoinette was supporting you before she was a competitor, and that's something that a lot of people don't get. And you want to make sure that you got that support, even if it's for a team. I know you guys fit brick figures on the team. That's a big support thing. So I think the support in this game will help you achieve so much more if you have it. So kudos to you guys for that. Yeah. That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear how you make it work.
Well, and I'll say, I want to throw this in there, and maybe this will help somebody as well. As like I said, I battled with low self-esteem, man, for a long time, Todd. Man, I remember for like a year, like brushing my teeth and not being able to look in the mirror, not be able to look at myself. But when you have somebody supporting you, what happens is like they become your mirror, right? She's actually telling me what she sees, even when I can't see it myself. And somehow, it just starts to transform the way that you think. And I think that, with couples, husbands, wives, that becomes huge, because I would venture to say that 95% of all bodybuilders have some kind of self-esteem issue, something. Yeah. And they need that person, whether it's a coach, a close friend, someone who is taking their best interest into consideration, to be like, no, no, that's not you. This is where you are. I can see the potential, and begin to speak to that. And that's really what has happened with us. When I started, she didn't listen to me, man. I was trying to pull her into my hole with my pity party and everything that was going on. She wouldn't go there. She just kept telling me where I could go. And eventually I just kind of started believing it, and I would tell her, hey, she was like, you act like you don't believe me. Well, I wasn't, because I just had that. And then eventually I started thinking, okay, she's saying it enough. Maybe this is true. And then I just really, man, just closed my eyes and just listened to what she said. And I just kept going. you know, and it got us to where we are now, you know, and I think this actually made us stronger, you know, ultimately.
So if you were to give, I guess, your best tips when you started, when you really ran into your first wall, that first sticking point, was it, you know, in a 16-week prep, was it like 2 weeks in? Was it 10 weeks in? What was the sticking point and how did you get through it?
I think, you know, initially, like, you know, because I'm probably like one of the newer bodybuilders. Actually, I'm one of the oldest bodybuilders, right? But new into the game, right?
You've got
And
some
so,
people
you
20 years
know,
older than you, so you're a youngster compared to some.
oh, I haven't met those people yet, but I can't wait.
I promise.
So I think that, you know, for me, I felt like I was trying to catch up, you know, playing a catch-up game. And so the sticking point was where in my head, I didn't feel like I was getting to where I should be quick enough. Typically, you know, I mean, I was going to take like, you know, it wasn't going to be like a couple of weeks, it wasn't going to be overnight, but probably like, you know, in a 16-week period, probably about that halfway point, you know, because, you know, it's when your diet starts to change, that affects the way that you think. You know, you're carb depleted, you know, you're tired, cardio, you know, most of us have families, we're working, you know, full time. All that stuff comes into play. And I did, that's where I hit the wall. I hit the wall right there. And, you know, at one point I just like, I'm not going to do this, you know? And, you know, really nothing changed with my diet, nothing changed with the workout. It was just having people around me to say, are you kidding me right now? You just gonna quit? You know, for what? You know, I mean, if you come halfway, you know, the worst thing you can do is just fall over to the other half. You know, just fall over into it. Don't quit and go backwards. And so that's what I did. You know, I just kept going. And to be honest with you, in the last 3 years, the next year I kind of knew what to expect. And this year, you know, since I've been working with Helen, again, she's taught me so much about what to recognize, you know, with my own body, and how to learn to work that, you know, for your benefit. That, you know, I you know, you kind of have that internal drive based off of your knowledge of what's going on, and that's where I'm at now, you know. So my alarm clock doesn't go off, man, to get me up. I wake up and I'm waiting, you know, because I'm thinking in my head, today is going to be better than it was yesterday. My today, I'm not where I was yesterday. Tomorrow, I'll be better than I am today. And so I have an expectation. And when I see it happening, I'm just like that every day. It's just like, you know, hit it every day because this is going to get me where I need to be, you know, because I don't want to show up at a show like yours, you know, or any other shows and step up on the stage and I've half stepped. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not wasting anybody's time, their money, you know, to come out and not have given 100% of what I have to offer. You know, I can guarantee you that no matter what I look like, that's the best that I've got.
Can I add something to that, Matt, in regard to having a good nutritionist to help you? Because it does get hard at the end. At the end, your body, physically, you want to quit. If your food is not measured right, you're not on the right supplements, then you're not going to make it. You're going to be so easy to just throw in the towel. So it means a lot having a coach that's checking in on you, making sure, you know, she's getting pictures, you're going to see, you know, where you are physically, because this can work on you mentally as well. I mean, you start questioning or wondering, why am I doing this? You know, but then we're not quitters. So I know he'll never quit. He may want to quit, and I'm not going to let him quit. And the same here for me, but it's just all of this plays together with your food, with the support, all of it. So that if anyone that's coming on, that's something they definitely want to make sure.
It changes you. It changes you. I mean, I always used to tell people that it challenges your mind, your body, and your spirit, you know, when in this bodybuilding game, because I remember being in the dungeon a whole lot of times and having a lot of long talks with God about where I'm going and how I'm gonna get there.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Antoinette, where was your sticking point in your first prep? Victor said he was about 8 weeks. Where was, you were like, man, I'm about ready to throw my arms up.
Well, honestly, Matt, it was hard for me because prior to doing this, I had never lifted a weight. I didn't know the techniques of knowing what to do. So having him here, Jason, they pushed me. But probably right before the end, it got hard. It got so hard. I'm telling you, had COVID happened a week later, I don't know if I would have gone through with it. Because I was just at that point where, man, I just can't do this anymore, so. But it helped to have them. They would push me, and especially peak week. Man, I thought I was going to die. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I can't do all of this because it's back to back. It's like somebody punching you back. But I mean, I did it. So now the next time it'll be better. It'll be better.
Well, I'm going to say this, and this is completely from the heart. You guys are truly not only an inspiration to what we've seen, but we see the way people respond to you. And that's when you have influence, because a lot of people can talk and talk and talk, and we know who the talkers are. But the fact is, I remember being, and Todd, this was at the Diva posing at the Pit in San Antonio. I remember seeing you guys there, and we got a chance to talk where the weights were. And that was the first time, Antoinette, I actually got to talk to you. And I'm like, these people are difference makers, and they will walk the walk. So, I mean, honestly, that was that time to where I'm like, okay, I want to get to know these folks. These guys are going somewhere and they're doing something. And I think they're going to be a great addition to the GBO family. That you already were a part, but then it exemplified exactly and validated what I was thinking in the first place. So we appreciate you guys as far as just the way you've conducted yourselves, but more importantly, the way you continue to be involved with this too.
Well, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you guys.
Well, I must say that as time flies, I know it just seems like we don't have enough time in all these things. So we have to wrap up with a couple of announcements, but I want to be respectful of your time too. And I know Todd has a very important meeting to get to, which that person I think is also watching. So I don't want to get a phone call from her going, hey, stop talking. So I just want to, first of all, Todd, can you talk a little bit about the legacy as far as I know that we have officially started peak week? Go ahead.
Well, we as you know, we're in peak week. And so what we got going on, people have been asking a lot of questions about how we're going to format. It's going to be a straight format, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go in pretty much like we did the Diva. We're going in, have our pre-judging, 30-minute break, come back, award ceremony, give everybody their awards, give everybody their money, and, well, after they get the drug test, but they'll get a check, though. But then after that, hey, you gotta pass that test, man, before I send you some money. Yeah, so they'll get their big check saying that they might get some money one day. So if everything goes right, and we should get out of there pretty early, we're excited about it. We're gonna still go through all the protocols that we have set forth by the local authorities. The venue, the whole 9 yards. We hate that we can't get more people in. We will be having a live stream here on Facebook on ODL Fitness Production Live. If you have any questions, reach out to me and Sonny Ewan. That's what we're here for, and it's gonna be a great show. It's gonna be a great show. And we're just looking forward to it. We're looking forward to seeing all our GBO family. So like Matt said yesterday, sure, I'm gonna have my mask on, mask off, but I'm giving hugs, baby, because I missed y'all.
All right. And before I get into one question with you, Todd, Mr. and Mrs. Barnwell, how can people follow your journey? Instagram, Facebook? What's the best way to keep an eye on you?
On Facebook, I'm actually at Victor Barnwell on Facebook, and then Instagram is Bishop Barnwell. And most of I'm posting, gym stuff on both of those pages. And then Antoinette is Antoinette Barnwell on Facebook. And so, of course, we're friends on Facebook. So if you find,
As long as you're friends on Facebook, right?
so we're there.
Good.
So
Well,
yes, we're there.
we're going to look forward to seeing you in 5 weeks. Is that correct? Or are you guys going to try and chime in on the Legacy live stream?
No, we're gonna just we actually have some friends that some of our church members who are competing at the Legacy, they will be there. So we're gonna, we'll be chiming in to watch. But then again, we'll be looking face to face, in 5 weeks.
That's right, Matt.
Well, guys, we appreciate your time. And, we're so looking forward to finally, having you in Houston again and, hopefully be getting a chance to just enjoy some food together as we like to dine together and really just break bread. But more importantly, just get the downtime. That's what we really look forward to. And that's what we miss, and it's been too long. May has been too long from now until then. So, yes, enjoy your weekend. Todd, last word. What you got?
Hey, I just want to say that, yes, I enjoyed the Barnwells. It's a great, great couple. I'm honored to have you guys on the show. Good prep. Big, come on, man. We need you to go and bring that heat. Bring that heat on October 24th, baby. Bring that heat like you always do, But that's it, man. Hey, man, it's been a pleasure co-hosting, and Sadat, I'm out.
Love you guys. Thank you.
You got it. And then 2 last quick things. Number one, you guys have probably heard by now, the MGM Grand is a done deal. That will be November 19th and November 20th. There are still tickets for the Storm Classic, and it looks like a capacity is moving. I know that Todd is waiting on hearing officially, but it looks like capacity will be increasing for our show. Therefore, we can accommodate more tickets. So yes, tickets are a go, as well as competitors. We're getting close to filling up. But, we still have room left, and I will be sending out weekly updates as we go. So until then, enjoy your weekends. Todd, always a pleasure having you. Mr. and Mrs. Barnwell, always have a pleasure talking to you. It's really our pleasure and our honor to be able to have you guys on. We'll see you soon live. And until then, we will not be having a podcast next week just due to Friday Athletes Check-in meeting in downtown Houston for the Legacy, and we'll be picking up and resuming the following week. So we will be back at you with our new guests then, and we'll be announcing that previous Wednesday. So take care, have fun. Next Friday, the Legacy. The Friday after that, podcast episode 23. We'll talk to you then.
Okay. Take care.